Hello everybody, welcome back. This is Robert from Robert Epic Flight. You definitely want to stick around to the end of this video because I'm bringing you finally and hopefully solution for most of your issues with the settings you might be encountering with MSFS 2024, and I truly believe that I will answer most of your questions. So let's just jump right into the video. I'm also recording the joystick so you can see when I'm assigning the keys, and I will definitely try to explain some of the doubts you might be having. So let us go right into it. We are going to click on the settings and we go to controls, this infamous controls. And yes, I have done a couple videos before. There is probably 3 videos from Master Your Joystick series, but still there was some unclear information. I myself was researching a bit more about this particular issue, and I noticed that many of you are still struggling with it, so I'm kind of trying to clarify this, and I also decided to make a video of the actions I'm making with the Trustmaster side stick. And please note, you can apply this to any of the controllers. It doesn't have to be necessarily the same one because the procedure is pretty much the same. It's just about assigning whatever buttons or axes on your controller to whatever functions you want in Flight Simulator. Although there is one small catch which I wasn't aware for some time as well, and I was able to clarify this information. So hopefully this video will make it much easier for you, and hopefully many of you will be able to just jump in and finally fly with your favorite airplanes and enjoy the simulator. So first thing first, as I repeated previously, when you go into controls, your computer should recognize all of the devices connected to your computer in the simulator. As you can see, my computer recognized my mouse, keyboard, rudder pedals, and also the side stick. I do have a quadrant, but I forgot to connect it, but for the purpose of that video, it's not necessary. However, if you click on the corner there, as you see right now, you can watch the video about the throttle quadrant. And also, if you click on this video right there, which you are seeing in the other corner, you can watch the video about the keyboard, specifically keyboard settings. All right, so as you guys see, we have these different devices here, right? But first thing which is very important to mention is, notice that I have over here selected Cessna aircraft, right? So when I'm gonna create now a custom profile, I will be binding this towards this aircraft. In other words, of course you can use general created profile for other airplanes as well, and I'll get to it. But the simulator, actually, the game, remembers which airplane you are binding the profile to. So if I'm gonna be now creating different presets over here, this is what we're gonna call it, presets, right? Because we have general controls, we have airplane controls, and we have specific controls. So I'll be basically telling the sim, memorize what I chose over here for the Cessna aircraft. In other words, if I later choose, for example, Airbus, and I do the whole new key bindings, that other key bindings will remember the setup for that particular aircraft, if that makes sense. So then, if you are flying, let's say, with Cessna, and you finish the flight, and maybe for some reason you want to switch, let's say, to Airbus, of your choice, of course, and if you select the aircraft you have done the keybinds, it will remember without you needed to go here and change it manually. Of course you can if you want different settings, or perhaps you created 2 different profiles for certain controller, you can still do that. But like, this is the whole point of confusion. Let's just jump right into the settings of the joystick. and we will be key binding this to Cessna. So it's also worth to mention that I really try to help as many people as possible, because it does make me happy that I can help those who struggle, as it could be a bit confusing. And if you are professional in the flight sim, you already know all the key bindings and all the setups. This video is probably not for you. I don't really want to waste time for anyone who already knows all that, but specifically for people who are still struggling, who are still confused. So in order to assign your personal controller or joystick to whatever key bindings you would prefer, so meaning that if I want this button to be flap retract and this button to be flap increase, decrease, then that's my choice. Some people may use these two buttons or any other buttons on your controller. And in order to create everything from scratch, we do have to create a clear preset and give it a name and basically do everything from scratch. Yes, we can copy the existing preset and then just delete what we don't need, but we would have to go through all assigned presets. What I mean by that, I'll demonstrate. So if I would keep it on airplane controls under this preset over here, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna switch it to actually notice that I had it switched all the time on keyboard. So you want to switch it to device or hardware which you want to keybind. So in our case is side sticks by Trustmaster. So we want to click on the A320 Pilot or whatever joystick you have, right? It should show up also in the picture over here. So now when I have this selected, let me switch it back to the preset, which is there by default, which is like that. Okay. So now if I would click, notice how it says filters over here. So if I click on filters once, it'll change to assigned. Now, as you can see, all the assigned buttons and axes for this specific presets, right? And how to know what is what? Well, it's quite easy. Well, I didn't get it in the beginning myself, but basically if you look over here, general, so joystick, button, POV or head switch, which is over here, it's under general presets, right? And wherever it says airplanes, that would mean that it's set under airplanes. So it controls something related to controlling the aircraft, right? Such as, in this case, we can see engine, auto stop. It's assigned to certain button on the stick. And it's under the category airplanes, which means this preset, airplane controls. If I look a bit more down, or if I scroll up, we can see toggle autopilot heading hold. This is something which is related to controls of the aircraft, right? Because it does send some kind of information which tells the airplane, in this case, do heading hold. And also that's why we see here airplanes. So one of these buttons, button 16 in this case, is assigned to this particular function. And we know that it belongs to the preset of the airplanes. That's how you recognize it. So as you can see, airplanes or general, right? We don't have any specific ones. That's why it says none here. And that's why we cannot say any specifics over here, because all the assigned axes and keys are assigned to either airplanes presets or general controls, right? So in order to set up the joystick to our likings, let's say for a Cessna, and let's just imagine that you are one of those people who do not have rudder pedals at home. So I'll do this video with that in mind. Of course, you may have them. Or you just basically controlling the everything in the aircraft just by your joystick. And of course, some inputs by keyboard, such as cameras and things like that. So yes, I'm going to repeat that I did make a video, I think 2 of them, which kind of explains this already. There was so many feedback, and I thank you for that, but I wanted to make this specific video with some more details about all this confusion, and also that you guys are able to see what I'm actually doing on the joystick. I received a couple suggestions saying about mentioning the video, so I decided to do it this way. Hopefully it'll be more clear. If we want to change anything in existing settings, it'll make us to change the profile, or basically to add a new preset anyways, right? So easiest thing to do in this kind of case would be going to the gear icon. So we start from general controls, and we would click on it once, and we would duplicate it, right? So press duplicate. Now it'll ask you to give the profile or preset new name. So I'm gonna name it, in this case, Cessna new set, for example. I'm gonna click OK. And what I just did, I duplicated general preset. So that's why now you can see over here, Cessna new set. And I'll do the very same thing for airplane controls. So I'm gonna click on this gear button. I'm gonna click duplicate, and I'm gonna give it the same name so it's not confusing. In this case, it'll be Cessna new set. Now, it doesn't have to be the same name, okay? Please understand that. That's just my choice. You can give it like a Cessna general set or general set profile, whatever you name it. It really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, those will be general settings, which most likely you would like to apply to all of your aircrafts, if not all of them, basically. So once I type the name for the airplane's controls, I click OK. And I also, what I just did, I have created duplicate of the preset we just seen before as default, right? But now these presets, they still have the same assignment or key bindings as the ones from the default preset. We didn't really change nothing about that. So the joystick would still act the same way as I left it on the previous one. In order to create our own setup, pretty much, we would want to go to airplane controls, because that's what we want to assign all the buttons and axes. And you would need to click on the gear button again and click on clear. When I did that, it'll ask you that this will be all cleared. So all the assigned buttons which are under this profile, remember, duplicated from the default, will be now deleted. You just click OK. Don't worry, you're not changing nothing within the sim. You still have those default profiles, so you can always return back to them. So now this Cessna new set under airplane controls is completely cleared. Okay. And general controls, I can also, and I want to also, most likely, because I forgot something in the beginning. Notice how you have all these numbers in some of the assigned key bindings or keys or axes. So these numbers mean how many more conflicts are there. Well, I call it conflict. It's not really conflict. However, it means that, for example, on this specific key of the joystick under general controls, there are two more assigned functions to the same button, which most likely would conflict if you would be expecting this button to do one thing. However, it'll also do the different thing, right? So that's not really ideal. That's why I do recommend to clear it. So you would go to the gear button again and also clear the general controls and hit OK. Now, notice how everything disappeared and I still have it on filters assigned. Well, because I have wiped all the key bindings to these two presets in our new created profile. This is why you are not seeing anything now. We can switch it back to none. And now we can start assigning the different functions to our stick. So I'm going to start with flight control surfaces. I'm going to click on it once, and then we go to primary control surfaces. And then we are looking for ailerons on the very bottom. axis and elevator axis, right? So ailerons means what? We're gonna turn airplane left and right while we are flying, so quite important setting. So what we want to do, I'm gonna hold my joystick and I'm gonna click once with left mouse button over here next to ailerons. And when it says scanning, I'm gonna move the stick to the left or right. It doesn't really matter. You can do it just once. And it should, and it did, record it joystick axis X, right? So left, right, we have axis X. Now it's assigned to ailerons. Now we want to do the same thing for elevator, except for elevator axis, you're gonna have to push the joystick or pull. So we're gonna click again once over here into the empty spot. When it says scanning, I'm gonna pull in this case. You can also push and make sure that it records axis Y. So elevator axis Y, and then we have ailerons axis X, right? So this is done. What we want to have also is a throttle. So we have to give our, in this case, Cessna some power, right? In Cessna aircraft, we have one throttle. So what we can use is this very slider, which can replicate the throttle. So if you don't have any throttle quadrant or any hardware controlling throttle, this would be your choice. I'm sure plenty of the side sticks or joysticks, they have this kind of sliders available. So you definitely will be able to do such setup on different type of hardware. So what we are looking for is the power. We have to go back, okay? Click go back or hit escape. And we are looking for power management. So click on here and then we're going through throttle. And we are looking to throttle axis, which is right over here. And we're gonna click once with the left mouse button, just like that. And I'm gonna move this button and notice how it recorded joystick slider X. So that is our throttle set. We can go back again. And now I would like to assign, let's say, some flaps. I would like to have flaps having the option to control flaps on my joysticks. So we will have to return because the flaps are part of the control surfaces. So flight control surfaces, we go clicking there, and I think the flaps are located under secondary control surfaces. So click here. Yes, they are, except there are plenty of flaps options, but what you are looking for, especially for buttons, if you want to have a buttons assigned, at least that's my personal choice, it will be increase flaps and decrease flaps, right? So let's say I want to have it assigned right over here, these two buttons on the side, right? That will be quite easy to reach when I'm flying. So I can go and click to decrease flaps once when it's scanning. I'm gonna hit that button once and it recorded, joystick button 5. And the same thing I can do to increase flaps. So I can go here, click once with the mouse button, and when it says scanning, I can hit that, or I can press that other button of my choice. And now it recorded joystick button number 10. And of course, I still have plenty buttons over here, as you can see around. So I can always assign whatever else I would like to have on them. For example, one useful feature to have on the joystick is also your trim wheel. That one is under control surfaces as well. Control trimming surfaces. If we click here, we will see this part over here. One says elevator trim down, nose down. And the other one says elevator trim up, nose up. So this is something I would like to have on the joystick. Again, this is your personal preference. You don't have to do it. You can assign the buttons to anything else and you still have plenty of choices on the joystick. But in my case, I like to have it on the joystick. So I'm gonna click next to elevator trim down, nose down. I'm gonna click once. And when it says scanning, I'm gonna hit button of my choice, which I'm gonna select this one over here. Nose down. Well, actually, let's select this one here so it kind of makes sense logically. I'm clicking the button once. Notice it recorded, joystick button 16. And then nose up, I'm gonna click on this one over here. So it did record it. And then one more important part I forgot. So I have mentioned before we start assigning the keybinds, or before we start setting up the different buttons to different functions, I have mentioned briefly that what if you don't have rudder pedals, right? So you want to have some kind of control over the rudders with your side stick. It's under the primary control surfaces. And there is a function over here, or option, I would say option, which says rudder axis right over here, okay? Do not confuse, do not use this one, rudder axis left and right. I assume this would apply to certain pedals, but rudder axis would be the one what we want to assign on the joystick. I'm gonna click over here, rudder axis. I'm gonna click once, and I'm gonna twist the joystick, and it says now axis Z, okay? So not turning joystick left to right, but twisting it, okay? Twisting it. That's the axis Z. And I just assigned the function, or basically axis, in my joystick to control the rudder in the airplane. This is actually a very basic explanation, but I do believe that if you follow this video, you will be able to assign controls of your choices to different buttons on your controller, and it'll definitely work. It doesn't have to be necessarily the very same joystick as I have, as many people have different ones. But if you do follow that, you'll be able to do exact same thing. But now I want to show you something, okay? If I go back, and we have our aircraft selected, in this case Cessna, right? If I go back and save and back, so notice this is the profile, or preset, as I like to call it, we created. Cessna new set, Cessna new set. We have assigned keys what we want. I did have assigned previously the general profile for my keyboard, so I am able to control cameras and all that. But if you would click over here on this video, you can learn how to set up the keyboard. Okay, so now let's just hit save and back. We're in the main menu of the game, and we're gonna go in a test flight. I'm gonna quickly show you that our setup for the joystick works as we assign it to. And then I'll show you one more thing, which will hopefully make perfect sense for any further setups of your choice. Let's hit start flight, and let's let the sim load. And let's see the magic happen. I'm gonna try to push the joystick, okay, to show you that it translate whatever it needs to do with the yoke. So as you can see, it's doing what it's supposed to do. So we assigned that axis, right, to the elevator. Also for the pull, also for the ailerons, does work. And now I'm gonna just click here so we can hide the yoke, and let's look on the rudder pedals, right? If we did everything like I show you in the video, and if I now twist the joystick, you should be able, the rudder are moving, and they are. So it's all set for the rudder axis. And then what else? We can look at the trim wheel, right? This is the one, nose up, nose down. And I have assigned those two buttons over here. So I'm gonna test it right now. And if I hold it down, the button, notice, nose down, nose up, it's doing what it's supposed to do by holding the button. You can also click it and it's gonna move in increments. But if you hold it, the button, it's gonna move faster, the trim wheel, right? And then we also have a flaps, which are assigned to these two buttons. So let's look at this. Flaps are located over, let me just try to hide this yoke. Flaps are located in Cessna right over here, and we have assigned these two keys. So let me try to control them, and as you can see, it's working perfectly fine, just like I have assigned to my joystick. So, of course, as I said, we still have plenty of buttons available, so you can assign it to whatever controls you prefer, right? And now I want to show you something interesting. So we will go out to main menu. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going into free flight. And let's change the aircraft, right? So we're going to click, let's say, on, it doesn't really matter, the Grand Caravan. And I'm gonna click save and back. And if I go into settings, right? And controls, then what had happened? Well, this had happened. This aircraft is now selected, right? Cessna Caravan. It's not the Cessna 172. And I had previously created a profile which I called Cessna 172. That was in previous video. And I also clicked on that gear button and I clicked set as default. So if I would be changing airplanes now and then checking it in the controls or going directly into game, it would default the settings on this one because I have created it before and I also clicked on that gear button and I have selected set as default. You don't have to do it, right? But I did. And that is why now when I selected different aircraft, it goes back to this one. However, if we go save and back, and if we change the aircraft to Cessna 172, it should remember the settings we have done a moment ago. So save and back, we have selected Cessna, we go to settings, and we go to controls. And there you go, guys. What are you seeing here? You are seeing Cessna new set because we have initially selected aircraft, then we did all the new profiles, then we created the presets. And do you remember, as I told you in the beginning, when you select aircraft over here and then go to mess with the controls and create new profile, or as I call presets, it will record it in the sim and remember that choice. So you can apply the very same action by going to change aircraft. I don't know, take Cirrus Vision Jet, then save and back. And now you can be creating a new profile for this aircraft. And once you finish creating that presets and profile, and you would just go save and back, so every other time in future or any next time you would, let's say, fly with Cessna, then it'll switch automatically to that presets profile which you created for Cessna. And if you then switch to this aircraft, for instance, it would remember any settings and profile presets which you did for this particular aircraft. Does it make sense? I hope it does. I hope it did explain plenty of questions you might have had about all this mysterious MSFS 2024 settings. Because to be quite honest with you guys, I personally find it way too complicated, especially for beginners. It's a bit confusing. I would say a lot of confusion can happen because it really, for someone who goes into simulator, let's say for the first time, and maybe you don't have any idea how the MSFS 220 worked, but even if you do, even if you were big fan of MSFS 220, which I am personally, then you'll get confused because everything is so different. And it took me a while to understand it. And I know, yes, there are plenty of other videos. Some of them are better, some of them are worse. I'm not gonna judge anyone. I appreciate everyone who's trying to help other people. But my personal goal is to make it as easy as possible. And I truly hope that after this video, many of you will be finally able to create the profiles of your choice for your favorite aircrafts, and then you finally will be able to have some fun with this simulator after all these struggles. I would like to thank you for following my channel, for watching my videos, for leaving the comments and feedback. I truly appreciate it. For those of you who are new to my channel, please hit that like button if you enjoy my content. Make sure you subscribe. It definitely does help my channel a lot. And I appreciate everything and all the support, guys. So up to the next video. I'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Take care.